Hi everyone, welcome to North and South podcasts. This is Tim speaking. We've got friend of the show, Alex, back on today. Alex has been on in the past talking about his personal healing journey. We've both done Kevin Morris's Reiki course, haven't we? We've also spoken about PTSD. Alex comes from a military background and had experience fighting in the Middle East. We've spoken about psychedelics, the importance of nature, and we've also shared a few ideas about getting a sacred place of healing out in the woods, where we can both work at some point together in the future. But I was reading about the Stoics saying that you shouldn't necessarily need to go to places like that, although they can help. It's about bringing it into your day-to-day practice, which is where ultimately we want to be. Now, Alex sent me a link recently about something called the Sedona method, which we're going to talk about in a minute, which is very exciting. So, Alex, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thanks for the introduction, and it's like a pleasure to be back on the podcast.
Absolutely, we do have some good chats, and the good thing about chatting to Alex is, although we plan the podcasts, there's some good spontaneity about them as well, which I think adds to the genuine feel of them. So it's all good with you. Then you've just had a dog party, haven't you?
Yeah, my stepson's 7th birthday. He requested that we get as many dogs as possible and go to the local park. So we had a little event earlier, but I've actually posted on Facebook to our village community group to do another one now. So I've got massive amounts of interests from everyone in the village.
That's good.
So
And do you reckon pets they're really good for blood pressure, for mental well-being? It's a big part of healing itself, isn't it?
yeah.
Connection with animals, etc. So you sent me a link recently for the Sedona method. Because it came from you, I said, I'm going to watch this. And I watched it. It was on for about an hour. It's not something I've heard of before until I spoke to you. But it's really, really good. And it's something which you've got into quite big in the last, say, 6 weeks. It's also something that I've been using daily. So how did you get in contact with this Sedona method? Because it's been going for a while, isn't it? It came from the States originally.
Yeah, so this is a very spontaneous encounter with the Sedona method. I'll almost say it was very um it was a synchronicity
Yeah.
within my life that's happened. So I visit this falafel stall in Swansea, and I have a falafel from there and every couple of weeks. And the guy who owns it is called Dan. He's a very nice guy. And we have a chit chat, and I said to him, "Oh, I'm interested in psychedelic therapy. I'm a trainee therapist." And he said, "Oh, I've just come back from America. I've been working with the Sedona team." Um, and he said, "You really should check it out. It's changed my belief systems. It's really unearthed some limiting beliefs I've had about myself and about my life." So I was like, "Oh, okay." I went away and I forgot about what he said, to be honest. And a couple of weeks later, I remembered he said about the Sedona method, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a look online at this." And I watched that link that I sent you, the Sedona method movie, which is on YouTube. You can watch that. It's an hour long.
I'll put the link in the notes actually for that documentary.
I was actually just really, really gobsmacked at the simplicity of it, because a lot of therapeutic techniques are very complicated, to be honest. Like there's a lot of complexities within healing and within the therapy world. Like there's a lot of additional things that need to be learned, like the inner child, transaction analysis, learning about the parent, the child, the adult, all these different roles and these different analytical ideologies that are being sort of pushed out really by the behavioral and psychological academia. But this Sedona method suggests that underneath everything, we are already holistic, and we are already healed and perfect and pure. So underneath all our beliefs about ourselves, if we can let them go, we reach our original state, which is complete holism, I guess. And to get there, you have to make a series of decisions based on what your limitations are. For example, if you're limited by a sense of anger, then you can decide to let that anger go with a series of questions which are very simple, and then you decide to let it go. And when I first thought of it, I was like, too simple. But life is actually very simple and be complicated. So my skepticism was high. But when I applied the practice to myself, it worked immediately. And I thought, I'm on to something here. I'm on to something with this. This coupled with um, psychotherapy techniques. This was literally like a golden key, I think, for some people. And I've actually gone in and I'm working, I've integrated this into my coaching practice, and the results are phenomenal. I worked with someone 2 days ago who doesn't even remember what childhood trauma they have, but the Sedona method helped them alleviate all the emotions connected to it. So for people who have issues from their past, maybe they've suppressed the memory of it, and they've got behaviors which are very extreme, is even able to tackle those behaviors in the present moment without even having to know the memory which led to the behavior, which I think is fascinating.
Because regardless of the cause of the trauma, you're dealing with the effect of the trauma in the present, aren't you? Which is interesting. Now, I've used transactional analysis, and as you say, there's some good stuff there, but the Sedona method is very, very simple. And I
Mm,
read a book by, is it David Hawkins, called Letting Go? And I was recommended it by someone else. It was about just like letting things go from the past.
yeah.
And I've been interested in meditation by a guy called Stephen Bodleian, who uses an approach called the direct approach. And what he says with meditation is that you don't need to be an expert. You can meditate and you get better, but you can access that feeling of just clarity and calm like that.
Mm,
And it reminded me of what the Sedona method was. So I watched the documentary and took lots of notes. And there's a particular method, and there's a wonderful scene in that documentary where a woman's talking to the guy who's behind it, who teaches it. And she just looks at him and goes, "Is this what you guys do? Just like walk around relaxed all the time?" And he just says, "Yeah, that's what we do. We go around and we don't take things too serious, and we're very relaxed." And she's laughing at him, and I just thought it was beautiful because I saw a quote recently, and I wrote it down, and I've been reading it every day, and it's the idea that happiness is simple, but simplicity is difficult. And one thing the Sedona method does is it taps into that idea of the immediacy, and I found it really useful. I use it in my journaling each day, and I know that we've backed and forth about this. I think we're slightly different in the way we do it. But how have you found the Sedona method useful in your day-to-day processing of life, as it were?
wow, I think that it's completely changed how I feel and how I perceive life, really, in a very like a very big way. So when I learned about this technique, I was driving home, and a memory come into my mind. That's something that was quite fearful, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't thought about this for a while." So immediately, I just applied the technique, and I thought, "Oh, I'm going to welcome this emotion. I'm going to welcome this
Hmm.
memory and welcome this thought and feeling." And then I started to go warm in the face, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa! I can feel the energy of this memory." And then I just asked myself, could I let it go? Would I let it go when? And then I laughed out loud, burst out laughing, and then cried in the car. And I was like, just literally, like, time stood still. And I was like, okay, this is very serious and very, very um, powerful that I've just been able to let that go within about 10 seconds. And I've been with that memory for 15 years since the incident happened but to me before. And then when I checked the memory after letting go, the memory had no charge.
Hmm.
So it was completely neutral. It was just this, I could just visualize the actual story, but no charge on it. And I thought, okay, I'm going to use it actually about the way I feel about myself, because go to the gym and then think, oh, actually, I need to lose some body fat. I need to do this. I need to do this. So I
Mm.
did it on that. I thought, oh, can I welcome in any sense that I want to fix myself or change how I look? And then I started releasing on that. And then the amount of food I'm eating is getting less and less, because I'm actually lowering my desires to change the way I look. So I'm not actually that
Mm.
bothered emotionally anymore. And my emotional needs are getting met by me because I'm continually releasing on things that I feel like I need or want. And
Yeah.
all that is really is like a signal of understanding which needs inside you, like either control, love or approval, and security or safety. Which one of them really do you need to meet? So I've been doing the release and then thinking, oh, which one of my needs, my core needs, does this connect to? And most of it is linked to approval. So my core wound is approval seeking and also fear of disapproval. But with the Sedona method, I can actually see when I'm looking for approval,
Mm.
like within people. It's almost like if someone asks me for a book call, a coaching call or something, and I can't do it at a certain time, I feel like, I don't really want to say to them, sorry, I can't do it that time, but I can do it this time. And also with my pricing structure, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to say like how much I charge for certain services out of fear of disapproval.
Mm.
And I've been working through that with the Sedona method, because with some services I charge for, it's like the price is really important for people to feel the weight of the exchange. So it's not just like, oh, I'll just chuck him some money and he'll give me some coaching. It's like a high price, so people get that feeling of, okay, this is a big, big decision for me
Mm.
to enter this coaching transaction, and I need to take this very seriously. And that's another reason why I put things at certain prices, so people can feel that it's important to them, because we value money so much in this world.
Mm. I mean, the thing about the weight, I've heard about people like in the past saying, "Oh, like I want to lose weight," and like not necessarily women, but men as well, where people are saying, "Oh, I want to lose weight." Now, I don't know how heavy I am,
Mm.
and I haven't weighed myself for a long time, and I think I'm just under 100 kilograms. But for me, that's not important. What is important is that like I feel good and I maybe look the way I want to look, but that's for me and it's
Yeah.
not for anyone else. And you've got to get your why right. So when I hear people saying, "Oh, I've lost 6 pounds," like I went to Weight Watchers the weekend, like I'd lost 6 pounds. I go, well, you didn't need to go to Weight Watchers to find out you'd lost 6 pounds.
Yeah.
The guy who started up Weight Watchers, someone said to him, like apparently in an interview, like, don't you just help people for a bit, knowing that they'll come back in the future because they'll lapse again? And he said, yeah. He was just dead open about it. Do you know what I mean? So I would always say to people who want to lose weight or change the diet, to say, why do you want to change it? And I don't want to sound ruthless, but I've just learned stuff myself. So someone might say to me, like, I want to lose it. I'll go, why do you want to lose it?
Mm.
And you very quickly work out that they don't really want to lose it, because if they wanted to lose it, they would make the decisions to change it. Now, obviously, there's all addictions and psychology and genetics. I'm not second guessing anyone, but you've got to get that intention right in the first place and say, well, why do you want to do something? Is it for someone else's satisfaction? Is it for your satisfaction? Which part
Yeah.
of you do you actually want to work on? Is it an egotistical side or what? And as you said about the price structure of your coaching, you say, well, here's why I'm doing it and here's why I'm setting it. I need to be okay with that. And if I'm not okay with that, then why not?
Yeah.
Whose vindication are you looking for? Now, there'll be quite a few people listening to this who'll be going, what's this kind of magic kind of tool? And I just want to say to people as well, before you share how you use it, that this might not work for you. It might not be for everyone, but I've certainly found it very useful. And I think you found it much more useful in a direct way related to
Yeah.
your PTSD in the past. So what's the process for you? You sent me how you use it and I've used that and I found it helpful. But how does it work for you? What do you do basically? If we could just sum it up as briefly as we could.
Yeah. So the Sedona method will invite you to look at something within your life which you want to change or improve, either about yourself, someone else or the world itself. So you find the thought which you want to work on, and then you bring the now feeling of that thought. So, for example, if I had an argument yesterday and I was angry, I could think of that argument in my mind and think of the person, and I could feel the anger. And then what you would do then is the process would be that you allow the anger to be there with you, and then you ask yourself, could you, would you let it go, and when? And then you would repeat that in cycles until your state has changed or shifted. And that's the simplicity of it, really. And what I've been doing is like searching through memory banks, looking to see if I've got any hotspots in there. I've been trying to reduce my coffee intake. So what I do is when I think of having a cup of coffee, I will release on the craving for coffee. And then I've been in situations where actually now my need for coffee is so much lower because I'm doing emotional work around it. I feel in a completely different place, even where I would avoid coffee before. But now I'm welcoming any need or want to avoid coffee. I'm just allowing me to feel or think any way that I feel and think.
Mm.
And this whole method it's about not resisting even your want to resist things. So if you feel like, oh, I want to stay away from coffee, the Sedona method teaches you to actually welcome that in and allow it to be there, and just like feel into
Mm.
that desire to like resist something. And then also feel the opposite of, okay, let's welcome in any sense that I do want to drink coffee.
Mm.
Welcome in any sense that I don't want to drink coffee, because it tells you that every decision you make has a polarity. So if you do or you don't, if you acknowledge both sides of the issue holistically, then energetically it becomes much more balanced. It's the same as if I'm angry now and I say to myself, can I welcome being angry right now? And then also, can I welcome peace right now? Even talking about them two things in the same, like when you feel angry, it can balance them out quite quickly. And I learned that with the Sedona method, and I've used it myself around financial insecurity. So, can I welcome any thoughts that I am financially insecure? And then say immediately, can I welcome any thoughts that I'm financially secure?
Mm.
And then I do that back and forth, and then like you get loads of energetic feelings from it, because you're allowing the scales to balance, basically, where you may do affirmations all the time to be like, I'm wealthy, I'm rich, I'm this, I'm this. Actually, you're just only looking at one side of the
Mm.
issue. When you acknowledge there's fears around the other side of being poor, fears of being broke, and also fears of being really, really wealthy, because people think, oh, if I was actually wealthy, I might even like leave my wife, I might move to a different country, I might like end up becoming addicted to drugs or something. Do you know, like there's things out there that people think about themselves when they have access to all their dreams coming true that they don't really have in the conscious moment. So when you look at, okay, what happens now if I had £1 million in the bank? How much fear can that bring to you in the moment to think, oh, who am I? Who am I right now with £1 million in the bank? Like, who are my friends? Who are my family? Who can I trust? So all these little things that come up with that sort of level of change in the life. We've got fears around this level of change, and the Sedona method addresses them in the now moment. So then it actually opens up the possibilities of them coming to you, because you're not
Mm.
scared of them happening to you.
Yeah, and I think what you said as well with like traumatic events, it's part of the established way of doing things that you need to revisit these events so that you can become a neutral observer of them. And ultimately, that's what the Sedona method is looking to do in a really straightforward way. Now, you described it to me, you've described it just then, and we'll check out the video, folks, if you want to know. But basically, you say to yourself out loud, what am I feeling now? Say the emotion. And do you reckon that the emotional response lasts for about 90 seconds, doesn't it? And if you can get through that without reacting too excessively, then you're through the worst of it and things start to calm down. And then you just say, what is this? Could I let this go? Would I let this go? And when would I like to let this go? And basically, you're saying, well, I want to do it now. And then you repeat that maybe 5 or 6 times until you feel that emotion go. And sometimes it's just being okay with that situation. And it's what it does is it mentally processes the situation. It changes the subconscious because you're not burying it, you're getting it out in the open. And it's allowing you to get right in there among the sensation and acknowledge it for what it is, a thought, a feeling, a memory. And
Yeah.
that's just what it is. It takes the power away. It takes the negative power away from the events. And in the Sedona method videos you've sent me, you go into this in far more detail, but I do find it very useful. And the way I've been using it, I literally do it with Jane, right? Sedona, right? What's going on at the minute? And I think about the situation, ask myself a question, something that didn't go well or whatever, and go, right, what's going on here? Okay. If that situation happened again, how might I view it differently? And there's a description on the video where he says, instead of thinking of you just here now, try and view it very wide. And it reminded me of the Stoic idea of imagine you've got a problem, imagine a bird looking down at the world and seeing you amongst many others and going, that's your problem. So what? Oh, that person's got, oh, that there's loads of stuff going on here, your issue, like, so what? And it takes the power away, from the negative power away from the issue. And I think it's just basically about bringing mindfulness into your day to day through a healing process. And again, it might not work for everyone and it works for people in different ways, but I found it really useful as part of my journal. And another thing that it does, which I like, is it doesn't actually give you a solution and say, right, here's the solution, everything's fine now. It's just saying, oh, by the way, be aware of this and know that you don't have to view it the way that you've done it in the past. And I think that's very, very powerful as well. So I can't believe I've never heard of it before, but there's a lot of great stuff out there that we've never heard of, isn't it?
Yeah, things find us at the right times, and it's actually really surprising that how much actually we resist parts of our life and parts of ourselves to the point where when we change the paradigm and ask ourselves to welcome an emotion in, and you think, oh, actually, okay, I'll just welcome it in, like allowing it space to be, it goes away quite quickly because that's all it wants really, is to be experienced and given permission to be what it is, rather than being criticized or analyzed or like, what's this anger, where is it from, like actually if you just be like, what is it right now, it's anger, okay, can I just allow that anger to be there? Yeah, okay, I will. And then can I just like, and just even that simplistic, innit?
Mm.
Because I know we try and fix our anger in the moment by, oh, I'll go out for a run now, I'll go to the gym now, I'll go and do like loads of this breath work. But actually, if first you just made a decision to allow it to be there and then went and done all that, it's like you're doing the emotional stuff first, the inner work, and then you're doing the external stuff to get all the other benefits.
Yeah, yeah. It is good though, and again, the stuff they explain on the videos is brilliant. And there's a lot of it, like your beliefs aren't you, your thoughts aren't you, and you know, it's about facing up to your addictions as well and saying what you're addicted to and what stories you tell us. I've heard this from other people, like, what's your story? Oh, I'm a perfectionist. Well, why are you a perfectionist? Why do you have to be a perfectionist? Okay.
Yeah.
I did my website recently for me CIC charity thing, and my mate looked at it and went, that's good enough for now, mate. Yeah, look at the next thing now. And I thought, because I was thinking, oh, I'll go back and maybe modify it. He went, yeah, that's good for now. That, you can go back to that later, can't you? And I needed him to tell me, and I thought, well, I shouldn't really need him to tell me that, should I? And I was
Yeah.
listening to Amanda Knox recently, the one who was locked up in that Italian jail, and she was later found not guilty of a crime. And she said that she had to reduce everything to 10-minute spells, right? I need to get through the next 10 minutes. This is the situation, get through the next 10 minutes. And another thing she did is she realized she was hoping that her prosecutor would one day say to her, sorry, I was wrong. And then one day she went, why am I waiting for that? Does that make it okay if he then says that? And I go, oh yeah, I'm healed now. She goes, no, don't be waiting for him. Don't be waiting for anyone else. Let's deal with this situation now. But I found that very interesting. And these stories we tell ourselves, I won't say sorry until they say sorry, or it's their fault, or I'm a perfectionist or I need to be financially free. You go, okay, that's fine, yeah, great, but what's the story behind that? And is
Mm.
it actually the truth? Dealing with those kinds of emotions. But I love the way that they're all smiling on the video as well, and the guys just like laughing at things because people just don't laugh, do they? I was in the supermarket the other day. I was listening to a podcast. I said, look at how people live their lives. I was walking around and I was messing with me lad and like, saying, where's this, where's that? And everyone in there just looked miserable, absolutely miserable. And I'm thinking, what's this story that we're all in where we have to go around looking like that?
Yeah.
It's not good, is it?
No, no, no. It's funny when in that Sedona movie, I think one of the guys says, "Oh, I've argued with one of my co-workers," or he has an argument with his co-worker, and the woman saying, "Oh, can you let it go?" And he's like, "I don't think I can." And she's like, "Oh, you just working on it." And then eventually he's like, "Oh, okay, I can let it go," and he just laughs, bursts
Yeah,
out laughing, and everyone is laughing, and the instructor's laughing, and he's like, "Oh, I don't even really know why I was so angry now, and
yeah.
like I find it funny now."
Yeah. Do you know one thing that really brings that home to me? I remember hearing Deepak Chopra say, if something's on your mind, and if you say to yourself, will this matter in a year? It's probably something quite important that you need to come up with a strategy for. But this other thing was, have you ever been so angry, Alex, and a few days later you go back and go, what was I angry for? I can't even remember the exact situation anymore. That's how ridiculous it is. And do you know what? That's great when you're in the wild and is this someone coming to take my food? Or is this a group of people coming to like where I get my water? Am I not going to be able to get water tomorrow? That was good for us when we were like on the planes, like evolving, but it's not helping us now when someone cuts you up on the road and you go absolutely ballistic and take 3 years off your life over it. But as you say, you just got to laugh at the absurdity of what winds you up sometimes. And the Sedona method is just about having fun, letting things go, laughing. And it doesn't mean you don't do things that aren't important. And it doesn't mean you don't look after yourself. If someone attacks you, you need to defend yourself. But it's
Yeah,
about just stopping everything becoming a private war. Just
yeah.
just let it go.
Let go. Let it
Uh,
go.
but it is simple and it is brilliant. I mean, I'm just reading through my notes now, and I've read through these a few times. I've done this, but even now, just looking at it, there's a real you just there now that you can access at any time. And I remember hearing someone talking about, have you ever been having an argument with someone like someone really close to you, and then all of a sudden you just look at each other and start laughing your heads off. And I
Yeah,
think it's only happened to me like 2 or 3 times in my life, but it's probably like one of the funniest things
yeah, yeah,
that you've ever experienced in your life. The absurdity of the things that just wind us up and how
yeah,
we would view it from our deathbed if we could look back at these kind of things.
yeah, yeah.
But it's been quite profound for you, the Sedona method, hasn't it? And you felt almost like a somatic release of trauma. How powerful was that experience?
Yeah, enough to think I have really found my niche now is like incorporating Sedona into my practice and like doing it daily. And I've got clients like literally my client base has grown and grown and grown since I've been using Sedona. And my referrals are coming out of my eyeballs. Um, because I'm a really, really good communicator. Like there's my natural ability is communication. And when I'm doing Sedona, I can use it ad hoc and really target specific problems that people think they have and alleviate the emotion from it. So basically, I'm a really successful Sedona uh, facilitator, I guess, and I'm actually booked to go on the course in April. But you don't need to go on the course to do the method. You don't need to go on the
Hmm.
course to do it with someone. It's just partner work, 1-to-1. Um, so you could like be with anyone in your family or someone you trust, and you say, "Oh, can you help me with this?" And you could read out a script off a piece of paper to someone, and they could get a release from it really without
Yeah.
any training, no training at all.
Absolutely. And you qualified as a coach fairly recently, haven't you? So are you now doing coaching and healing anyway? And the Sedona method is another part of what you offer, isn't it?
Yeah.
So can people get in touch with you if they're interested in doing coaching and the Sedona method?
Yeah. So I just do like a basic Sedona or emotional mastery release with me, just an hour. And if you want to contact me on my Instagram, Alexander Campbell, and I just take a lot of clients from there. But most of my clients are coming now from referrals from other people. I think that's like the most like what do they say when you get referred from word of mouth? It's like the highest form of
Yeah,
approval, isn't it, for you for
yeah,
your
yeah,
business? So I'm just really grateful, really, that people are getting a good effect from it, from what I can deliver. And like you don't need much experience to be able to get results from this, or even help someone else with it. So I like would recommend if people notice that they have issues or that someone in their family does, they should say, "Oh, would you be willing to try this method?" And they could even try applying it in
yeah,
a
yeah.
group, a partnership.
I mean, I've spoken a lot about doing counselling and doing personal development and looking to better myself and taking responsibility for that. And again, you need to change yourself. Then you can work with other people and create positive change. And I think serendipity is a big part of it. Things come your way sometimes, and you've got to grasp those opportunities. And although the Sedona method is very simple, I would urge people to watch the video link and to
Mm.
get in touch with you if they want to try it out more formally. And yeah, saying that to say do the Sedona method more formally, I don't think that's a good way of describing it. It's so easy to practice. But obviously, with guidance, it was good when you sent me those little questions and prompts you do. That got me thinking about it more. But I would urge people to try it out and just let go of things. And there are people who you see in life who nothing seems to bother them, and
Mm.
those people have just got something which is amazing, which is the ability to just not turn their lives into a day-to-day misery list. Just let things bounce off you. And one of the last few things it says on that link, which I'll just share, is this idea that all is well exactly as it is now. And we've
Mm.
got this idea that, the weekend, or when I get that, or it's right here, right now.
Yeah.
That's what the Sedona method's about. It's about tapping into right here, right now, what you've already got, and living your life now.
Mm.
Because we're not in a rehearsal. People think, one day it'll be better. No, this is what it's about now. What you're doing now, that's your life. And
Yeah.
the Sedona method, I can't emphasize enough how simple it is, but also how effective it is. But I've enjoyed doing it, and I'd definitely like to do some sessions with you because I know that you are doing it in more detail. But is there anything else you want to add about the Sedona method? I think we've covered the basis there, but it is simple, but it is something which not everyone knows about. It's not common practice, but it's certainly common sense, isn't it?
Yeah, I have to add that really it's really important to seek some professional help if you have like a bereavement or you're going
Yeah,
through something really, really strong around you that's really affecting your physical and mental health. But if you've got things that you think, oh, my life's quite manageable at the moment, Sedona method, it can really like improve it to the nth degree. Um, and if you want to work on any limiting beliefs, if you want to work on your abundance or your health, or if you want to work on your happiness, or you want to have more peace and calmness in your life, then the Sedona method will, I think, deliver its promise of getting you into the now and allowing you to release whatever is not serving you.
yeah, definitely. But try it out. But I think another thing with people is people think, when these antidepressants kick in, or when I get out of this job and all that. But this is about doing things now. And as you say, there can be some terrible things that people go through, and we're not downplaying them in the slightest. And in terms of like domestic violence, child abuse, etc., people need to get proper help
Yeah.
and to speak to the right people. There's so much other capital T trauma that people can go through, but healing yourself, people sometimes go through their whole lives without talking about any of the things that have shaped them. And that's not healthy. That is really not healthy. But check it out. So we'll share your details, Alex. We'll leave it there.
Mm.
And I'll put the link for the Sedona method down there as well. But it's always great talking to you, and you're always at the cutting edge of what's happening. So thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, been a pleasure.
No worries. I'll probably stop the recording there. But yeah, mate, I think that's all we need to say about it, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Give
Yeah.
people an idea of what it is and a bit of background context, and then let people make their own minds up in it.
Yeah. So are you doing that coaching pretty much full time now?
Well, apart from university, yeah, I'm like my diary's like getting really busy, man. And basically I helped a couple of people with some serious childhood trauma that they basically could not get around by speaking to therapists. And when they were speaking to therapists, it was like reactivating them. And I tried this method with them, just said, oh, okay, what's the emotion you feel when you think of this? And they're like, oh, wow, fear, terror. I'm like, okay, can you just allow that to be there just for now, just as an experiment in the now, like just an experiment. And they were like, okay, yeah. And then eventually, like I said, oh, do you want to be free of it or stay the same? They said, oh, I want to be free of it. I said, oh, when do you want to be free of it? Now. And then basically, like this person's childhood trauma just started dissolving, and it went away. And she was just like, fuck, what the fuck? I've never been realized there was so much that I was holding on to so much darkness. And then that woman who's like a senior person that I know, and she's got loads of clients, she's got a big client base. She's basically referring me now to all her clients. And I was like, oh, wow, this is gonna kick off. Like, so only if you help someone who's quite significant in the world, I guess, who's got influence, they then speak about you, don't they? Because you've served them in a really positive way. So I'm just expecting a lot of influx of clients now.
That's good. That's good. But I mean, when you mentioned it to me, I thought, never heard of this. Like, and it is brilliant, isn't it? It's something I'd like to look at in more detail. And you said, like, to be a facilitator, you know, keep me posted about that. Because the thing I'm looking to do podcasting. I've done 2 sessions now with like kids with autism and stuff about their day-to-day life with Everton in the community, a charity. And I'm doing 3 projects this year, but like I want to do like a few little bits under this like charitable umbrella, if you like. And if you could get funding, you know, if I could get funding to provide counselling to people, maybe people who are struggling, get people like you doing things as well as a side on to what you're already doing, you know, long way to continue. But it is good. It is so good. And there's people out there as well, they're waiting years to see counsellors, and then they're going for like 6 weeks with someone reading out the CBD. CBT textbook, which is good, like in its own right, but it doesn't work for everyone, does it?
No.
No.
Well, if you want to try, if you've got anything that you want to try and work through, anything big, any fears or anything you think is really holding you back, then we can jump on another call at a different time, and we can see if we can untangle it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Right, let's do it. Less than a minute left. I'll let you go, mate. I know you're busy, and I hope you're enjoying your young lad and all that. So, is it Gabriel? Did you say?
Gabriel, yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy every second. But I know you. Thanks for putting the time aside, because I know you're busy. So this will go off in a sec. If it does, I'll just say to that now. But thanks for fitting me in, mate. Do you reckon that about 40 minutes is about right? You know, so this is a good podcast length, I think. Cool. Nice one, mate. Listen, thanks again. I'll speak to you later. When I've done the edit, I'll send it to you.